In a huge and beautiful city of New York, witness how a woman managed to overcome all the problems fate throws at her. Starring Sachi Aguila as Mrs. Horace Pringle, Jodie Miller as Elaine Pringle, Andy Tapios as Dunham, and Vien Marpa as Oliver Farnsworth, with special participation of Sofia Octoria as Alice Gerstenberg and Patrick Bandalan as her boss. Directed by Luis Ibarreta. 14.
Oh, good morning, sir. Sir, here's the script for my play.
That play you're talking about last time?
Yes, sir. What do you think about it?
Let's see. In the dining room of a New York residence, there is a long table running from left to right, with a chair at each end and 6 chairs on each side. Dunham, the butler, is hovering over the table to give it a few finishing touches as Mrs. Pringle comes in. She is a woman of fashion, handsome, and wears a lovely evening gown. She is rather excitable in temperament, but without capable and executive, vivacious, and humorously charming. She enters in haste, carrying a corsage bouquet of flowers and the empty box of paper from which she has unwrapped them.
Dunham, I've just had word from Mr. Harper that he was called away to the bedside of a friend who is very ill. He summoned these flowers. It's a good thing he did. I don't approve of young men refusing dinner invitations at the very last minute.
I'll take the box of flowers, Mrs. Sprinkle.
It's too bad. After I've said it all so beautifully, and it's getting so late, someone might be coming any moment. How's Cook?
Cook's in a temper as always, madam.
I'm glad to hear it. She's like an actress. The better the temper, the better the performance. As long as she serves us a good dinner, I don't care how much she swears. The rest of you can just keep out of her way. Where's Gustave?
I'm sorry to have to say it, madam, but there's such an awful blizzard out, he's sweeping off the sidewalk.
Oh, dear me, yes. I should have ordered an awning, but who expected a storm like this?
Here are the place cards, Mother, and the diagram. Shall I put them around?
Yes, dear. Elaine, I'm going up to look after your father. He's so helpless about his eyes. Remove one plate, Dunham.
Remove one plate, madam? Oh, it is such certain. Oh, madam, you wouldn't sit down with 13.
13. Why, you're right. 13. We can never sit down with 13. This is all due to Mr. Harper's negligence. Sick friend. Nothing. He's just one of those careless men who never answered your invitations in time. His flowers. Indeed, to make me forget him. Now look at the trouble he's put me to. 13. I wonder whom I could get to come in the last minute. Quick, Elaine. Help me think.
There's always Uncle George.
He never opens his head.
Mr. Morgan, madam, he always tells a joke or two.
Why, yes, Dunham. That's clever of you. Hello? Central Lake Value 5971 at once, please. Elaine, dear, your hair is much too tight. Pull it out, Come here. Mr. Morgan? Well, this is Mrs. Pringle speaking from across the street.
Good evening. This is Mr. Morgan's secretary. Is this Mrs. Horace Pringle?
Yes.
Oh, good evening, ma'am. Can I help you with something?
When Mr. Morgan comes in, please tell him to call me right away.
Can I ask why, madam?
I want him to dine with us in about 10 minutes. You expect him?
I'll inform him as soon as I can.
Have him call me up right away. Now, if you shouldn't get it, then what I'll do?
Well, Mother, I don't have to be at the table. It's your party anyway. Everybody's married and older than I am.
Didn't I put you next to Oliver Farnsworth? Millions. He's worth millions.
Well, he won't be giving me any.
Can't he marry you? Aren't going to try to make a good match for yourself? I fling every eligible man I can at your head. Can't you finish the rest yourself?
It's no use, Mother. You're trying to marry me off to anyone as important as he is. He frightens me to death. I'll lose my time. I was afraid of him as I'd be afraid of the Prince of Wales.
The Prince of Wales. Oh, what wouldn't I give to have the Prince of Wales in my house? New York has lost its heart to him. I was just telling Mr. Farnsworth yesterday that I'd give anything to have the prince here. I would establish my social position for life, and I've such a reputation for being a wonderful hostess. Dear me, the phone. Hello?
This is Mrs. Sedgwick.
Mrs. Sedgwick.
Is this Mrs. Horace Sprinkle on the line?
Yes, this is Mrs. Pringle.
Mrs. Sprinkle, my apologies if I can't come to your dinner tonight.
What?
I was caught in a
No.
snowdrift and...
Oh, caught in a snowdrift.
Yes, and now we can't get another car.
Can't get another car. Good. The widow can come. That leaves us well. Remove the plates and come. Oh, that's a shame. I'm heartbroken. Oh, my dear, how can we get along without you? But have you really tried?
Yes, I'm really
Oh,
sorry.
reduce
I'll
the
try to make it
tears.
up to you next time.
Goodbye, my dear. Well, I'm glad she dropped out. Central, give me Lakeview 597. Dunham, with 2 less, you can save 2 cocktails and at least 4 glasses of champagne. Has Mr. Morgan comes in yet? Well, don't give him the message I telephoned before about crossing the street to Mrs. Pringle for dinner. It's too late, you understand? Well, anyway, I've invited Clem, returned my indebtedness, and saved my champagne besides.
The liquor is getting low, madam, what with prohibition and entertaining so much.
But Mother, if you only have 12 people, Father can sit at the end of the table.
But he has to sit at the head. It looks too undignified when the man of the house is pushed to the side.
There's no other way. There must be a woman at each end.
How absurd. I always forget. Of course, 12 is an impossible number. I don't want to put any of these women at the head. There's Mrs. Darby, such a cat. I wouldn't give her the honor and Mrs. Answer it, Dunham.
Hello? Mrs. Sprinkle's residence?
Good evening. Can I leave a message for Mrs. Horace Pringle?
A message? Yes, sir.
Tell her that I can't attend her dinner invitation later this evening.
What, sir? Mr. Dark,
Tell her that my baby has chicken pox.
doctor says your baby has chicken pox.
Chicken pox, Elaine!
Mother?
Yes, I apologize for the last-minute cancellation. I can't go there, transmuting the disease onto the other guests. Also, tell her that our house guests, Mr. and Mrs. Fleetwood, can come too.
Yes, sir. Mr. Darby sends his apologies, but owing to the transmutability of the disease, Mr. and Mrs. Darby feel obliged to regret, and also their house guests, Mr. and Mrs. Fleetwood.
That's 4 out.
Well, then you're only 8. Quick, the plates, Dunham.
Don't we know someone to invite last minute?
The Hatwoods.
They don't serve drinks when they entertain. I can't afford to invite them and drink mine.
The Greens.
She's not interesting enough.
Mr. Coley.
He never makes a dinner call even after all the times I have invited him.
Esther lonely?
Not at the same table with you and Oliver Farnsworth. She's far too pretty, too clever.
Where's her book? The toppers?
The toppers! Good heavens! Elaine, 6 in the family.
That would get us back to 14. Then father could sit at the head of the table.
Well, try them. I'll rush and go tell your father to hold out the drawing room.
Bridgeway 9325, this is Elaine Pringle.
Oh, hi Elaine.
What topper am I speaking to?
This is Ella.
Oh, Ella. Hello. I hope you haven't finished your dinner. We had the party arranged here and at the very last moment, everybody's been dropping out.
Oh my, why is that?
The blizzard. Can you flock your family around the corner and eat with us? Mother and I thought we knew you well enough to call you like this at the 7th hour.
Sure, I'll tell my mother about it.
You would? Oh, fine. 6 more plates, Dunham.
By the way, we have 2 house guests. Can you bring them over too?
What? Oh, well, but get mother quick. Yes, of course. Love it.
Lovely, but you sound unwell. Are you sure it's okay?
Why, certainly. Yes, my dear.
Okay, I'll tell them right away.
All right. Great Caesar, what have I done?
What's the matter? I mean, what if...
Now I've done it. I've just done it. I couldn't get outfit. I just couldn't. You weren't here. You know I always lose my head in little things.
But what? Don't keep us waiting like this. What is it?
I invited Ella in the family and she accepted, and then she said they had 2 house guests and would it be alright? And then I said it would. And now we're 16.
16? But madam, the table's not that long.
Elaine, that's just like you. No tact, no word of wisdom. If I'd been at the phone, I'd have politely said at my table.
But you weren't at the phone. You out to attend to such message yourself. You know I always use my head.
But the dishes, madam, and we only have 14 scraps.
I won't eat any.
But I must not disgrace. We'll have to make the best of it and insert another board.
But mother, I needn't sit at the table.
You're going to sit right next to Oliver Farnsworth. Now I would wish to hear another word about it.
But can we squeeze them in without all the work of adding another board? If I move the plates in chairs closer?
Have you forgotten that Mr. Topper weighs something like 250 pounds and Mrs. Corley has no waistline? It can't be done.
Cook is in a rage, madam. She says she has only prepared for 14.
I can't help it. She'll have to prepare for 16. Tell her to open cans of soup and vegetables and...
But the ice cream forks and the gelatin molds.
I'll pretend I don't like them.
And I'll pretend I'm on a diet.
But I really wouldn't have to be at the table.
Be still. The telephone. Now what? Don't answer it. It's driving me mad. Hello?
Is this Mrs. Pringle?
Yes, this is Mrs. Pringle.
Mrs. Pringle, this is Jessica.
Oh, yes, Jessica.
Mrs. Pringle, listen. I'm sorry, but I really can't attend your dinner tonight.
What?
I'm really sorry. The blizzard is extreme.
Oh, the blizzard.
Also, my cold isn't getting any better, and
You're cold.
yes, and my husband told me that it will be too
Too
dangerous to go.
dangerous. Oh, Jessica, you poor dear. Yes, your husband's right. It will be foolhardy. Put on a mustard plaster. Hot toddy. Go to bed. So sorry. There! That's wonderful. Now we are 14.
But the cards are all wrong. Only 6 are coming who were invited originally. You'll have to make another diagram. How do you want them seated?
Give it to me.
Here are some fresh cards.
What a mess! I spent hours over the diagram. So much depends upon having guests seated harmoniously. There's the front doorbell, Dunham. I told Annie to answer it for you, but go peek into the drawing room and tell me who it is. You murderous instrument! What have you to say? Now what? Hello? Mr. Farnsworth? Mr. Oliver Farnsworth?
Ma'am, this is Mr. Oliver Farnsworth's
No.
secretary.
You're his secretary.
Yes, ma'am. I would like to inform you that Mr. Farnsworth can't come to your dinner tonight. He has to attend an
He's
important
what?
business meeting in
Instructed you to
Boston.
make his excuses? He had to leave for Boston at once in a very important business? Oh, how dare he? How dare he? The last moment like this. No regards for a hostess feeling, no regards for the effort she goes to provide an evening's enjoyment. And such a good dinner I planned, and he promised me he would come. Business. I don't believe it. He didn't want to exert himself, was afraid of freezing in the blizzard, as if he didn't have half a dozen of limousines to carry him to the door. Selfishness, downright rudeness, and worth millions. Just a match for you, Elaine. And I was bound you should meet him and sit next to him at the table. Now I don't know when I can give you a chance like that again. I'm perfectly furious. I'll never speak to him again. I won't be treated that way.
Perhaps he really did have business and was blown away.
And I, one of the most important hostess in the city, people clamoring to receive my invitations. All my affairs are a success. I instill that they shall be. I can't bear a failure. I won't have a failure. He was my most important guest. He's such a man's man, so important financially. Every other man considers it an honor to meet him. And now, not coming? I'm furious. Furious. It's all this dummy old blizzard.
Now, I will have to stay away from the team. His not coming makes us 13 again.
Go to bed. Go up to the nursery. I'll send you milk and crackers.
But Mother, it's not my fault that he had business out of town.
Yes, it is. If you'd perk up a bit and not be so timid and make something of yourself, he would hear about your attractions from other men and be curious to meet you himself. Oh, what a family I have. No one to help me with my ambitions. Go to bed. I certainly won't sit down to 13. Go to bed. Get out of my sight.
It was Mr. Morgan, madam.
Mr. Morgan, but I telephoned his maid to tell him not to come.
He couldn't have received the second message, madam, for I heard him explaining to Mr. Pringle how happy he was to receive your telephone invitation.
That makes you 13 again. Unless you don't want me to go to bed.
Of course, I don't want you to go to bed. We're back to where we started. 14 Dunham.
I'll go get the cocktails ready, madam. Annie told me there were several motors making their way through the snow. It's late now and cook's swearing about the dinner getting too dry.
I won't answer it.
I should say not. Hello? What is it?
Is this Mrs. Sprinkle?
Yes? Yes.
Mrs. Sprinkle, this is Mrs. Tupper.
Mrs. Tupper. Yes, Mrs. Tupper.
I just want to apologize on how my daughter acted to your daughter on the phone. She shouldn't have asked you to invite our house guests when you only invited the 6 of us.
But now you must come. We're prepared for you.
For the 8 of us?
Yes, for the 8 of you. Your daughter told my daughter about your house guests and we are delighted to have them.
Oh, you shouldn't have worried about that. You only invited 6 and it's embarrassing to add 2 more. So we've decided we'll just leave Henry and Ella.
But now we're set for you.
It's fine, Horace. You don't have to worry about welcoming two more guests. Save yourself from stress.
Whatever date is set.
My daughter has already caused you a lot of trouble.
But your daughter was quite right. It wasn't an imposition at all.
My daughter had no tact. She made a mistake, and she shall correct her mistake.
But you must come now.
Of course we will, but you can change my mind, Horace. It's your party. My daughter shouldn't have asked Aline to make some space for additional guests.
Of course, my daughter had authority to invite the guests out.
I'm really glad for your hospitality, but 8 is too much.
Oh, it isn't at all a big number. There is room. The table is all set.
Horace, only 6 of us are invited, so only 6 are to come.
But I beg of you.
If I would be frank, it really feels like my daughter's mistake is burdening
But
you.
my dear, you are not imposing.
You don't need to please us, Mrs. Sprinkle. It's Ella's mistake, after all. This conversation's over.
Oh, but how foolish of you to take that stand. Why, my dear? My dear? Now what do you think of that? Mrs. Topper is perfectly furious at Ella for telling you about the house guest. And she says Ella has no tact. That nothing would induce her to bring 8 when we invited 6. So she's leaving Ella and Henry at home. Only 6 are coming. Remove 2 plates soon, Ham. We're 12 after all.
But if you leave it at 12, Father can sit at the end.
I shall go mad. I'll never entertain again. Never, never. People ought to know whether they're coming or not, but they accept and regret and forget and accept. They drive me wild. This is my last day at my party. My very last. A fiasco. An utter fiasco. A haunted crowd hurried together when I had done everything so beautifully. Now how shall I sit them? How shall I sit them? If I put Mr. Topper here and Mrs. Conley there and Mrs. Topper has to sit next up to her husband if I want Mr. Morgan there, oh, it's impossible. I might as well put their names in a hat and draw them at random. Again, through with society, with parties, with friends. Stay clean. They'll miss my entertainment. They'll wish they had been more considerate. After this, I'm going to live for myself. I'm going to be selfish and hard and unsociable and drink my liquor myself instead of offering it gratis to the whole town. I'm through with men like Oliver Farnsworth. I don't care how rich they are, how influential they are, how important they are. Nothing without courtesy and consideration. Business off the train. Nonsense. You didn't want to come. You didn't want to meet a sweet, pretty girl. You didn't want to marry her. Well, he's not good enough for you. Don't you marry him. Don't you dare marry him. I won't let you marry him. Do you hear? If you try to elope or anything like that, I'd break it off. Yes, I would. Oliver Farnsworth will never get recognition from me. He is beneath my notice. I hate Oliver Farnsworth.
A note from Mr. Farnsworth, madam.
A note from Mr. Farnsworth.
Miss Horace Springle, it's my pleasure to be invited by a wonderful hostess like you for dinner. Unfortunately, something came up and my schedule clashed with your invitation. I was about to notify you about my absence, but I remembered you telling me that you'd love to have the Prince of Wales on your dinner. I figured it will be a nice peace offering to make it up to you. I hope you will enjoy your dinner with the Prince of Wales. Signed, Oliver Farnsworth.
Yes, madam. There are 2 strange gentlemen in the lower hall. They presented this letter. He said he was the secretary. All the other guests are upstairs in the drawing room. I counted 12 in all, including you, Mr. Pringle, and Miss Elaine. But the 2 gentlemen downstairs, madam, are waiting for your answer. The one gentleman's face looked very familiar, but I just can't place him. Although I'm sure I've seen his face somewhere.
Seen his face somewhere. Oh my goodness! Elaine! It's the Prince of Wales!
The secretary said you got off the telephone or Central disconnected you. He was about to tell you that Mr. Farnsworth knew that the blizzard had prevented His Highness from keeping an engagement way uptown.
The Prince of Wales sitting in my lower hall.
That will be 13 again.
There's the secretary, miss. He is his bodyguard.
Certainly, the secretary Elaine. We shall be 14 at dinner. Serve the cocktails, Dunham. The guests may sit anywhere they choose. I shall bring the prince in with me.
But, Mother, wasn't it nice of Mr. Oliver Farnsworth to send the prince in his place?
Didn't I always say that Oliver Farnsworth was the most considerate of men?
I think I shall like Mr. Farnsworth.
Silly child, it is too late now to like Mr. Farnsworth. It is time now to like the prince. I always manage somehow to be the most successful of hostesses. Thank God for the blizzard.
So, what do you think about it?
Wow. Call the best actors and actresses. This shall be shown to everyone in town.